materials. So I want to thank everyone in my team, including Ganindu and Sajid. Also, thank you, Jasmine, in believing us to publish a book. It was a pleasure to work with you. So, Jasmine, congratulations on your first book. I know you will keep writing, and I'm hoping to read your second book in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hasita, for sharing your thoughts. And as you said, the illustrator is Sajid Pereira. He's a young freelance illustrator. He has done a great job with, with his illustrations and has the beauty of the book. But he's not an illustrator by profession. He's an undergraduate of Faculty of Engineering in the University of Peradeniya. So I'm sure you also might have something to say about the book. We would like to hear from you, Sajid.
Yes, hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for selecting me as the artist of this book. And I have done a lot of sketches, pencil sketches, but this is my first time making sketches for a book, actually. So again, I'm very much thankful about that to Hasita. And finally, congratulations for your book launch. And thank you.
Thank you, Sajid. And here we are going to listen from the special person, Jasmine Jayasekara. She is the author of this lyrical masterpiece, and also she is the head of the Department of English in Advanced Technological Institute, Anuradhapura. She has gathered more than 11 years of experience as a lecturer in English in the field of English language and literature. As I have told you before, she has written many poems which has been published in the papers, but this is her first published poetry collection. So finally, she has decided to publish Water Lily as a debut poetry collection. So we can all agree to the fact that she is the best person to talk about the book. So Jasmine, and I've heard from her that she's a great fan of William Wordsworth. That is why maybe one of the reasons why there are a lot of poems about nature, since William Wordsworth is also a fan of nature, I believe. And Jasmine is also a nature lover. She's obsessed with trees, waterfalls, mountains, and everything about countryside, as she told me. So Jasmine, we are here. We are ready to hear from you about your creation.
Thank you, Dulanjali. The chief guest, Mrs. Kamala Vijayaratna, the guest of honor, Dr. Amy Wang, the Directress of Advanced Technological Institute, Anuradhapura, distinguished guests, Hasita Adhikari Arachi, the founder of Queen of Sea Publishers, and the team, heads of the Department of English, SLATE, academic staff, visiting staff, non-academic staff of Advanced Technological Institute, Anuradhapura, my family, relations, friends, and my dear students. Very good afternoon to everyone. Very good morning, Dr. Amy Wang, who is joining us from the United Kingdom. And very good evening, Hasita. Hasita and those who are joining us from Australia. I'm so honored and privileged to be sharing this wonderful moment with you all. Incredibly amazing people joining me out there. I'm very proud to be addressing you all right today at this moment in my book launch, my debut book, Water Lily. Let me speak a few words about my book, Water Lily. I'll start with William Wordsworth, the father of Romanticism. According to William Wordsworth, poetry is born out of spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Okay, I'll tell you how my poems were born. Well, honestly, I was looking at some beautiful pictures and I was just letting my feelings to overflow. And then I invited my pen to give words to these feelings. So this is how my poems were born. There was no pre-planning at all in there. Yeah, so I'm totally in with William Wordsworth when he says, poetry is born out of spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. And then let me turn to T.S. Eliot, who believed in tradition or the dead poets. He believed that every new poet should have a profound understanding about the history of English literature. So, well, he said that poetry is born out of no poet or no artist has his complete meaning alone. So, well, he believed this tradition. And if I talk about myself, I read English writers, then American writers, plus post-colonial writers, including Sri Lankan writers. Well, we are honored to have Kamala Vijayaratne Madam today. And Madam, I've read some of your poems and I've taught these poems to my students and I've analyzed these poems. So what I really want to highlight is that I've written all these poems out of the knowledge that I've accumulated through reading. Okay, then let me turn to the critics who sort of believed in art for art's sake. In other words, the aesthetic value of literature. Well, I advise you to go to Nature and Countryside and read the poems over there. You will understand how far I agreed with these critics. Well, I've sort of celebrated nature over there. And it's all about beauty and serenity of nature. Plus, let me turn to the critics who sort of believed in didacticism. Um, in other words, they sort of believe that we should integrate culture and sort of social aspects into literature. Well, again, I advise you to go to Human World and the poems I've written about women, and then read the poems over there. You will understand how far I've integrated social and cultural aspects into poetry. Well, in this part of my speech, I just wanted to highlight that I've read enough to be able to write something new. But I don't say that my reading is enough as a person. Well, I'll read until the day I die. I trust myself. And yeah, so if there are my students out there who is probably want to make me their role model, there's a piece of advice from me. Please read, read, and read before you hold the pen to write something new. All right, then let me turn to my book. I've written 30 plus poems and I categorized these poems into 9 themes. Well, in the first part of my book, you will find intensely personal poems where I address to my father, mother, my son, and sometimes I've sort of written some poems based on my experiences as a mother. Okay, next, I've sort of written poems about love and pain, which is a universal theme. And then towards the end of the book, I've sort of placed much emphasis on the poems where, like I said before, I've brought social and cultural aspects into my book. Okay, I'm like discussing about women and their problems and I mean human society and their cruelty and things like that. And well, I just have in the middle of the book you will find so many poems regarding nature and countryside. Well, I would like to talk about them a bit. since I place much emphasis on nature and countryside. To be honest with you all, I'm a nature lover and I consider myself an inborn romantic. And one of the things that I want to share with you is that I'm one lucky person who was born in a beautiful rural village where I could feel the touch of cool water and, you know, feel fresh air. And then I could smell a sort of the sweet scent of beautiful fresh flowers. And I had the opportunity to walk along leafy paths. So all these experiences shaped my character as a poet, as well as all these experiences nourished my soul as a person. Okay, and but today, unfortunately, the world is industrialized and people place much emphasis on technology, and they've forgotten the fact that there is something inspirational around them. Well, I've written all these poems actually in order to give a particular chance for my readers to go back to countryside and sometimes into jungles and walk along these leafy paths and sort of smell these beautiful flowers. And yeah, these things I really wanted. I promise that if you read these poems over there, you will definitely feel better. And you will definitely forget your problems. And it's almost like a meditation for me. And even my father says so. So I promise you will definitely feel better. Okay, then let me turn to my publisher. Okay, Hasita Adhikari Arachi is the founder of Queen of Sea Publishers. So let me talk about a bit about her. Talk a bit about her. Okay, I'll just tell you how I happened to meet Hasita. Well, I had my manuscript in my hand. I was like, I was looking for a good publisher. I'm an amateur, just a beginner. So I was like finding the best person for me. I just visited a couple of websites and suddenly I bumped into Queen of Sea Publishers website, which is quite amazing. I just scrolled down and I saw a couple of publications over there. They were quite, I saw that she was doing things about English literature, right? So this is what really impressed me. And then I thought that, yeah, this is the right place for me. Then I rang, and at the other end, of course, it was Hasita's mom who picked up the phone. I just asked the information, and then she told, well, I'm not the person who is doing this. It's Hasita. She's in Australia, in Sydney. I was like, what? How come she does all these things being in Australia? Anyway, I right away wrote to Hasita and she replied me quickly. And this is how our partnership started. And it was an amazing partnership, Hasita. Thank you very much. It was a massive support that you gave me. And it is you who made this happen. If you weren't there for me, my book still could have remained a manuscript. Thank you very much. And I take this opportunity to appreciate Hasita and the team. Hasita is young, I know, but she has the potential and she's talented, to be honest. Because at the beginning, I was a bit nervous. I was like clueless about publishing a book. But later on, I understood the fact that Hasita has absorbed all my pressures. And yeah, it really went well. So my job was almost writing, and she got a couple of more poems written down as well. Okay, thank you very much, Hasita. I appreciate your incredible partnership and your amazing team spirit, plus your kindness. You are a very kind and humble person. So wholeheartedly, I recommend Hasita for future writers, and I wish Hasita and her team all the very best. I can't forget my illustrators as well. Okay, these pictures are wonderful, amazing. I really love this cover, and the pages are in super good quality. So, well, wow. It's wonderful. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best, Hasita and the team. And then let me turn to my amazing family, my biological family. So my father and my mother, they are really amazing. They are so affectionate and caring. But let me place much emphasis on my father, who is my best friend, my favorite person, and my role model. He is the one who laid foundation for my education. And he was there behind me all the time since the day I was born. So I take this opportunity say thank you very much, Tate, for doing all these things for me. And it is you who molded me into who I am today. Thank you very much indeed. And I love you so much. And also, I would like to, one of the things that I want to share with you is we had days where we sat down under trees and read books. I still remember how my father taught me Disontinahami while I was doing A-level. And I still remember how he sort of read me Amber a House, a beautiful novel. He read this to me. Honestly, I don't remember the plot, but I still feel the same feeling. Okay, so at this moment, I again and again thank my father for making everything happen in my life. And he's the one giant figure behind me. And Tate and the audience, I wrote this book to be able to return the deep love that my father has been pouring down on me since the day I was born. Let me wind up my speech by reading you the dedication for you. Okay. Jasmine's a bud bloomed by a man whose heart's but a spring of love, returning love deep to the father who turned his daughter lily of his lake. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Well, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you very much. I know it's not easy to express all your ideas and the your beautiful magical words all the way came all the way from your mind to this book. So thank you, Jasmine, and good luck on your book launch. So as I mentioned before, our guest of honor today is Dr. Amy Wang, the course leader of MA English Language Teaching in Nottinghamshire University, United Kingdom, for more than 10 years. She is known as a very kind, humble, and a knowledgeable lecturer, and well known for her incredible relationship with the students. So maybe that's why she has won the NTSU Outstanding Teaching Award, which was voted by students in 2016-17 academic year. I can see you smiling there, and it's lovely to see you, to have you here. So as you have written the foreword of the book, I'm sure you have a lot of things to share about the book as well. So over to you, Dr. Dr. Amy, your microphone is muted.
Sorry, this is really bad demonstration of the technology, my knowledge about technology. It is my great honor to join this book launch, and especially when Jasmine invited me to write the foreword. And it is really my great honor to be able to join this celebration for Jasmine. So many congratulations, Jasmine, for completing this really beautiful book. It is really amazing to read this book. So first of all, I will tell you a little bit of some stories between me and Jasmine. So Jasmine joined us in 2015 to the course that I've been leading for quite a few years in Nottingham Trent University. So when Jasmine joined us, I very quickly sensed that there is something so special about Jasmine. It's not just about, she's a little bit quiet, but I could see something in her eyes that she is very, very special. There are things that Jasmine says in the classroom which will just strike me, which will just surprise me. That is the words from such a young lady from Sri Lanka. So I tried to spend some time with Jasmine, and at that time, probably none of you know that it was a quite challenging period of time for Jasmine when she was studying in the UK. Although she got the scholarships to study with us, but she also had to work really, really hard in the restaurants, in the takeaways, to be able to sponsor herself. But it is the determination from Jasmine that she made it so successfully in our course. So let me share with some of the stories with you. One day Jasmine came to me and we had one-to-one tutorials. And I asked Jasmine, so Jasmine, are you okay? Is everything going well for you? And she said, Amy, I really miss my family and I'm going through this tough time. What shall I do? I miss my son so much and I miss my father, I miss my family. So in return, trying to comfort Jasmine, I showed Jasmine a photo of my two children. So I showed Jasmine, I said, Jasmine, this is just to give you some sort of the warmth from the family. Jasmine, look at the picture, we share some family stories together. And then I forgot all about it. And then one day, my husband and two children went out for a walk and they went to this beautiful nature reserve. And afterwards they felt so hungry. So they went to this subway just around the nature reserve. And then there came this very modest, humble lady from Sri Lanka who had been looking at them for a while. And then she asked them, are you Amy's children? Imagine. There are 300 million people in Nottingham, and Jasmine, being Jasmine, she could tell they were my family. And this really shows how amazing Jasmine's observation is. And I think the observation are like nutritions of her poems. The observation, the detailed observation, the deep observation about the nature, about people, the deep reflection about humanity. And that's what I love about Jasmine's poems. So if you are Jasmine's students who are here, Jasmine, not just your teacher, Jasmine is your role model of how students should be like. She is curious, she has the deep and detailed observation about the world. She works extremely hard to achieve to where she is right now. She has the determination that a role model should be. So I'm really honored to be able to be here today and introduce my dear student, Jasmine. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. So the next one is that I want to share my impression about Jasmine's poem with you all. 2020 is a really challenging year for the whole humanity. And it is the year of coronavirus. And in the UK, we went through 3 lockdowns. So the 3 lockdowns gave me the reflection of where our humanity should go. And where our humankind should go. In many ways, we are going through the wrong direction. And now we are experiencing this big challenge. So I spent a lot of time, I asked myself, what should we do? Where should our human beings go? to really change our path to the right direction. And in many ways, Jasmine has answered all the questions in my mind in her very dearly book, Water Lily. So the first lesson I learned from Jasmine's book was love and deep connection and gratitude. So Jasmine dedicated her really wonderful book to her father. How many people would do that? How many people in this world, especially if we think of our young generation, how many people would do that? So this is really amazing. Jasmine did it in Jasmine's way, the deep gratitude, connections, and love that she has with her family, with everyone who have dedicated and contributed to her education. So the first lesson I felt I have learned from Jasmine and Jasmine's poems was the deep connection. And imagine if everybody in this world learn the deep gratitude, to learn to show our deep gratitude to everyone around us. How will this world be like? How will this world be like if we all show our love and our deep connections with everybody around us? And this is Jasmine using her beautiful words, her deep reflection, and share this gift to everybody. The second lesson that Jasmine has given us, and this is so important, is about the connection that we all have with nature. So with coronavirus and the pandemic, I started to question whether us, the whole humanity, are moving towards the right direction between us and nature. And I asked myself, do we show enough respect to the nature? Do we show enough gratitude to what the nature have given us? And Jasmine has really answered the question to all of us as well with her very simple but deep, beautiful words about nature. The answer is probably not. We haven't shown enough appreciation for the Mother Nature has given to all of us. So Jasmine, being Jasmine, who is a gift, I believe, to all of us, by writing down, sharing all these beautiful words, by her detailed, deep observation about the nature, by bringing us back to the nature that human and nature are one. And Jasmine created this beautiful imaginary world for all of us. The last one that I learned from Jasmine's words is about empathy. Jasmine talked about the pain, about the love. Jasmine reminded us about the social cultural empathy, the love, the empathy that we should pay to the minority groups, to the gender inequalities. I don't know if you remember in the intercultural communication classes, Jasmine, we talked about culture is almost like an iceberg, that what we see about the culture is just about above the sea level. And what we don't see is very much below the sea level. And Jasmine using her very simple words to guide us to not just see the iceberg above the sea level, but also to reflect on, to have a lot of reflection on the world below the sea level. And I would suggest you to find a quiet corner somewhere in the nature, bring a cup of tea or coffee or a nice drink, and read this lovely book of Water Lily, and have some meditation, as Jasmine said. I can promise and guarantee you that you are going to enter a really beautiful world that Jasmine has created for all of us. So thank you very much, Jasmine, for inviting me. And thank you to Jasmine's lovely publisher. I'm already very impressed by your whole team today, how professional you are, how dedicated you are. And it is really my privilege to join all of you. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang, for your humble and kind words, and thank you for joining with us today. I'm sure your words and your thoughts and your support is very much appreciated by Jasmine as well. So thank you again. And now we are going to hear from a special person today. She is one of the most successful and most popular and award-winning writers in the country. She was a lecturer at the University of Peradeniya and was also a chief project officer at National Institute of Education. She has been awarded with many literary awards, including Sahitya Ratna Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, this award is the highest honor given to a Sri Lankan for the outstanding contribution to Sri Lankan literature. So, Madam Kamala Vijayaratna, it is an honor to have you today, and I would like to respectfully invite you to address this gathering.
Thank you, Anjali, and thank you, Jasmine. I'm really honored and privileged to be the chief guest.
Camera off kala yeno ninna.
Can't you hear me? Can you hear me?
Camera off.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I'm sorry,
Right, okay.
I would like to respect you to turn your microphones on. ඔයගලගේ microphone පොඩ්ඩක් mute කරගන්න. නැත්නම් disturb වෙනවා. Thank you.
All right. Can you see me? Okay. All right. So to go on then, I wish I had met Jasmine in person, but I see her now. And as Amy had said, and also as Dulanjali had said, I think they have said most of the things I was planning to say. I'm really privileged. And it's like the breath of fresh air to see a young person like Jasmine writing poetry and being very brave about it, because writing in our part of the world is not a career. You can't live writing poetry. So it can only be a hobby or a sideline. I mean, you have to earn your bread, you have to do a job. And while you are doing that, you also write. So that's how it is. I think this is the way with most writers in our part of the world. But Jasmine is very brave. And as the title of the book suggests, I know it's very well illustrated, it's beautifully printed. Perhaps she thought that her verses were not enough, and she chose to also visually represent what she was saying. So I congratulate her on all counts for the poetry, for the beautiful graphics, and the production of this book. She has a long way to go. And as Amy had said, we can expect great things from her because she has just started. It reminds me of my own first book. It was called The Smell of Aralia Flowers. And I also started with the rural scene, in fact. I think it's a powerful background you have, Jasmine, because you're rooted. You are rooted in your own culture, in your background, but you're also aware of the world. You are exposed to another culture, exposed to another language. So these are actually strengths. So you write from a multifaceted background, multifaceted cultural knowledge. That's why I think your collection is so rich. There are more than 30 poems, and you have touched many, many themes. And particularly the title poem you have selected, The Water Lily, in a sense, I think it represents you. And I'm reminded of the Anuradhapura background. I have a soft corner for Anuradhapura because for a number of reasons. So one thing, culturally, I think that's our cradle. We began there, although we have moved out. And I also had about 4 years experience of teaching in Anuradhapura at various schools, poor schools with very poor students, rich school, convent Anuradhapura with rich students. And I think I enjoyed them all. I enjoyed teaching the poor children more than teaching the rich children. But it was a very precious experience. In a way, I envy you there, you know, working at the ATI and then trying to mold your children, trying to educate them in English, give them an English education, trying to bring them up. In fact, my last novel, An Untold Story, is about Anuradhapura. It's about the Anuradhapura background. It's a boy from Anuradhapura. So I'm happy that you are living there and you are writing, and this is your first step. I know it won't be your last step. I know you will go on. Well, perhaps we should think about what a poem is. You yourself said it's, you quoted Wordsworth, expression of spontaneous expression of powerful feelings. It's also said that a poem is beautiful language in beautiful words, the most beautiful ideas in most beautiful words. If you can manage that. Of course, there's didactic poetry and there's modern poetry, which perhaps won't be very beautiful because they have to talk of horrible experiences. We have to talk about violence. We have to talk about war. We have to talk about human suffering. We have to talk about injustice. We have to talk about the poor. We have to talk about the difference between the rich and the poor. We have to talk about the marginalized. Eventually, I know you will come to those because that is the reality. But at the moment, you know, you are a water lily. You are writing about your water lilies blooming on those vast lakes that were built by our great kings. And so you yourself, as I said, you are like a water lily. And I'm really touched by the way you begin your poetry book, your dedication to your father, your attachment to your family, because after all, family comes first. Charity begins at home, and you have done the right thing because you talk so fondly about your father who has given you not only life, but given you culture, given you conscience, I think, because it's because of that conscience that you write such meaningful poems, because you explore the human heart, you explore the lives of people, you explore nature, and you have this message that we should preserve nature, go back to it. And as Amy said, perhaps with the corona, people have actually started thinking about nature, but will they keep it up? Once normalcy comes, will they forget? But you, in your young heart, in your young mind, you have made something permanent, your book, which is dedicated to nature, as it were. So, but I was also touched by other concerns, your maturity, especially your concern with this one word, unity of the world. And I would like to draw your attention to the others' attention to this particular poem you have written. I think it's very powerful. I would like to quote from that. It's the title is Black, Blonde, Brown, White, Black. I think it's a great poem because you say scarlet stretch made no difference. White and brown would make this difference. Blonde and black would make this difference. Yet that red bloom matched this difference. The suggestion that the blood is the same, whatever the color. And that's a powerful message, especially with what we have witnessed in the last few months, like the killing of George Floyd and other concerns, other problems that we witnessed in the US and other parts of the world. And you finally come to this final conclusion. Mouths had no voice, pens had no ink. Friendship hugged, tight souls so beautiful, hand in hand. They walked to the universe, telling me no colors can bring the difference. So for someone so young, I think it's something very mature. And I congratulate you for your courage, for your determination, for your courage and your dedication, because you are a wife, I believe. You have a son, you have a family to care for, you have a job to look after, you have students who are in your care, and still you find time to write poetry, to respond to the world around you. Not only to respond, I think many people actually respond, but they don't have the talent or the time or the concern to sit down and write about it. But you have managed to do that. And you have built a number of experiences together. The rural experience with the urban, the Sri Lankan with the world experience, with the United Kingdom. You have bonded with people of different colors, different races, different religions, and have decided that it's one human race that we have. And so you have put it into words. So once again, I congratulate you and I urge you to go on writing, but also one or two words of caution, because a poem is a communication. A poem has an idea. It uses words to express that idea, but a poem is also a piece of art. It's a craft. So as a sensitive poet, you have to start crafting your poetry. You have to start working on the poetry. Of course, they say, some people think it's easy to write a poem. They say, you catch a poem as it comes. You know, like you have an idea, immediately you scribble it down. It may have the elements of a poem, but then to make it a real poem, you have to start crafting it like a carpenter. I suppose a very aesthetic carpenter. You know, he chips off the wood. He has a piece of wood, but he starts chipping it off. He starts carving it, and he makes a beautiful work of art. A poet is like that. You have to start chipping off the edges. You have to discard. You have to make choices. You have a number of words, so you have to decide which word to use. You have a number of emotions. You have to decide which emotion should gain priority. And you also need to say what you want to say as clearly as possible. Of course, some people think the more elusive you are, the better your poetry is. I don't believe in that. I believe that poetry must be understood. You may show your scholarship or your academic power by writing poetry that other people don't understand. But I suppose Eliot could afford to do that, because by the time he had written The Wasteland, people would somehow run around, pick up dictionaries and encyclopedias and, do a lot of referring and all that to find the meaning. But still, I think, do we really understand a poem like Wasteland? Could we say that? We understand maybe parts of it. But the real thing, I mean, do we really understand it? But also, of course, there's the other point. You might say you can read it at different levels. You can read different meanings into it. So that is the nature of poetry, I think, like if a poem is transparently clear, then perhaps that may not be, what you really want, because a poem is a many-layered thing. So people should be able to take away one layer and go into the other layer and go into the other layer. So it's by crafting the poem, by with maturity, that we reach that level. And I know you will go on to do that. So don't stop writing. Don't allow your family concerns, your professional concerns stop you. It's a hard life, I would say, because I had the same experience. I had to grapple with all those. I had to grapple with the young family growing up. And also my husband became disabled at the age of 40. Then I had taken a job. I changed jobs at the training college, ending up at the National Institute of Education. But I never stopped writing, because once you start writing, you can't stop. That's what let me quote John Milton. He called his poetry that one talent. A talent is something given by God. So in a way, I mean, because we are Buddhists, we might not believe that this is a gift given by God, but you could also believe that. You will say probably this is something that we have developed over our lives in samsara. Like at some point, we became more sensitive than other people. And so we started writing. We wanted to communicate that sensitivity because, as I said, many people, people are generally, human beings are good. Even the young ones, in spite of all their concerns with technology and all that, I believe that at the base, in the core of their hearts, they are good. But they feel perhaps, but they don't know how to express. And they also don't have the time to express. It takes a writer, I would say writer, a novelist or a short story writer, and especially a poet, to put that into words and to tell people about it. So that's why you have to go on, and you can. So this is a beginning. Only this word of caution, I say, start crafting your poems. Be choosy about the words that you select. Be choosy about the language that you write in. So as it is, as Amy says, you use your language naturally. The beautiful language comes naturally to you. But also, the language has to be precise. It has to be correct. It has to communicate what it attempts to communicate. So that is the making of a great writer. And I'm sure you can be a great writer. So, because especially writing in English in Sri Lanka is becoming less and less. And we need to encourage young writers. So there are vistas. Perhaps the academic institutions may not encourage you, but there are institutions that encourage, like, for example, Godege, Sirisumana Godege, for example. He's sponsoring young writers, so I don't know whether you heard about it. He's asking for anthologies from young writers. So, of course, you will say, well, I don't write for money. I don't write for prizes. But it's good when somebody recognizes you and gives you a prize, then you feel gratified, that you have done something. And people have recognized that you have done something. So prizes are needed because that shows your worth. So I would advise Jasmine, go ahead then, daughter. Keep on writing, but also keep crafting your poems. And then you will, because you see that most of our recognized writers are no more. Patrick Fernando is no more. And Ranasinghe is no more. Jean Adesanaga is no more. And Yasmin Gunaratne has stopped writing because she's too sick to write. So there's a big vacuum now. And you have to take that place. So you need to do that by becoming mature, by crafting good poetry, and also maybe varying what you are writing. I mean, you need to get more experiences, especially by traveling, also by reading, as you say. You are a voracious reader and you read. So read not only the British and the American, but the emerging writers. I haven't read much Chinese poetry, but I hear that good poetry is coming out of China and also from Southeast Asia and from our part of the world. So it's by reading others, you feel inspired, stimulated. So do that. Then thank you very much for inviting me for this session. I have enjoyed it very much. And I feel that I'm part of your community, the ATI Anuradhapura. I haven't had the privilege to teach you, but I have my students all over this country. But I take this opportunity to appreciate you, appreciate what you're doing, and also your commitment and dedication to education and also to the arts, to poetry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam.
It's a privilege to have you, Kamala Madam, here today. And thank you so much for your inspirational words. It was like listening to, like a lecture, and listening to you was like reading one of your masterpieces. Thank you so much, ma'am, again, for sharing your thoughts. And the next person we are going to hear from is an important person in Jasmine's life, probably the most important person in her life. He is a retired English teacher and also an unpublished writer, and a simple, humble man who sacrificed his whole life for the sake of his daughter. So this book, Water Lily, is dedicated to this person, especially for his lifetime sacrifices in shaping the character of his daughter. So I think you all know who I am talking about here. That is Jasmine Jayasekara's beloved father, Mr. Jayasekara. I'm sure you might have a lot of things to share about your daughter's book and her life. So please do share your thoughts with us. It's time for you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I have no words to thank you actual speaking. And once our Dr. Amy Wang also had told my daughter, I want to speak with your father, and she He won't actually might have been appreciated myself also. Then I have to tell you, briefly, possible briefly, I'll tell you. One day I was going to the boutique to buy some tidbits in the evening session. Then I met my daughter. She was driving the car and stopped and asked me, Sarasavi. I asked, why? Pute, we'll go home, close by. No, no, Tata, it doesn't matter. I'm in a hurry. Then we had better wait here. Then I was standing and she came with a book and worshipped me, giving me. Huh? Then thereafter, I blessed her so much. I blessed her so much. That day, I went home, and the night I tried to go through that her poetry, and actually telling I couldn't go through some lines, and tears rolled down, down. Then thereafter I stopped there. Then several days I tried and tried and tried, and the same thing happened. Even though I, I was very happy and very glad, very happy because of her work. Because a singular saying is this: Degurum vising tama daruante dena nomada dananam vietun sabha med inter itiriva silpadan. I did that work. I think sometimes our Dr. Ami can't get my singular meaning. As parents, we have to give our children the most valuable things to be in this such educated society. That the parents' duty. I have done that. I have done that. And also some more words here. As Mark Anthony told, then I stood up here not to praise Jasmine, but to evaluate. She herself and you all. And your all helping hands have come together and made a good writer, very good writer, and universal writer. And I'm very happy of that thing. And also, in her smaller age, I told her so many stories. One day, in a Greek myth, I told her, I rated her, Pute, there was a very, very beautiful young boy, a wild boy, with nymphs. Then he is a very beautiful, but he didn't know who he was and how his features were. Then one day he went to a waterfall and went down to wash the rose or something. Then he saw his face and features and everything, and he was admired, and he was marveled. And thereafter, he tried to get up, and he couldn't. He couldn't get up. Then today itself, also he is bending itself. He says that flower Narcissus. That person is Narcissus. Then those Narcissus flowers are here and so many at a stake in our area. And my daughter also, I think she was bent down to the literature world and she can't erected up now. I think like that Narcissus. Then water lilies are there are so many in our area, in our waterfalls of all times and waterfalls. And at a state, like words that related, written, where daffodils we weep to see. Like that, so many water lilies are there in our areas, and very, very fantastic, fantastic picture it is actually speaking. Then she was, marveled and she was formed, I think she got all those things, these of the nature, and she became a writer. I am very happy, very happy and very glad. And then I once again I will wait your helping hands, all of you. Uh, and I shorten my speech. I want to tell so many things, and there are a lot, but it doesn't matter. Thank you all, and I am winding up my speech.
Um, I'd like to quote what Jasmine has wrote about you as a first poem. Words will not tell you the love he bore, the miles he rode, the tears he hid, the sweat he shed, to shape and shape his daughter. I believe Jasmine has made you proud, and you brought tears into my eyes. So thank you, Mr. Jayasekara, for sharing your thoughts with us today. It's time for questions and answers. So if you have any questions for Jasmine, the writer, or maybe even for Dr. Amy Wang or Madam Kamala Vijayaratna, you can raise your questions and share your thoughts. I think Jasmine is ready to talk with you. If anyone would like to share any thoughts about the book, it's your chance now. Okay, so I think we have come to almost we have to conclude this event. So Jasmine Jayasekara, I'd like to invite you to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dulanjali. The chief guest, Mrs. Kamala Vijayaratna, the guest of honor, Dr. Amy Wang, distinguished guests, HODs, lecturers, non-academic staff, friends, relations, and my family. Ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant evening to all. A very good morning again, Dr. Amy Wang. It gives me immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for this event to all dignitaries assembled here. Every special moment comes to an end. This occasion is no exception. First and foremost, with honor, I would like to thank the chief guest, Mrs. Kamala Vijayaratna, a celebrated poet, a short story writer, and a novelist in Sri Lanka. Dear Madam, it is indeed a privilege to have you here today in my book launch. I take this opportunity to communicate my utmost respect and admiration as well as gratitude towards you for blessing me with your presence at my book launch. I'm deeply thankful that you could take time out for me and did me the honor by gracing this occasion. Your inspirational words still ring in my ear. Thank you very much indeed. Secondly, I must remark a proficient sense of gratefulness to Dr. Amy Wang, the course leader of Master of Arts English Language Teaching in Nottingham Trent University, United Kingdom. My dear Madam, with all my due respect, I'd like to thank you for your presence at my book launch. I really appreciate you taking out time for me from your busy schedule and impressing us all with such inspirational words. I'm so proud to call myself a student of yours, and I'm fortunate to receive guidance and support from you. While I'm truly blessed to stay connected with you, sharing love and affection. Thank you very much indeed for the beautiful foreword you wrote for me. I have so much affection for you, and thank you very much for taking part in this event today. Thirdly, let me extend my sincere gratitude to the Directress of Advanced Technological Institute, Anuradhapura, and the former Director of Education, Mr. C.M.S. Bandara, and Nisansala Bartholomews for your participation in this event. Next, I would like to thank all the heads of the department and lecturers who joined from different ATIs, including ATI Anuradhapura. Visiting lecturers, the accountant, the assistant registrar, and the non-academic staff of ATI Anuradhapura. Thank you very much for your participation. Also, Ms. Yashodhara Kaluarachi, Ms. Lilani Dias, Mr. Ganindu Pereira, and Mr. Sandruwa Nabesingha, thank you very much indeed for your participation today. Next, I wish to extend my immense gratitude to my fantastic crew, my publisher, the Queen of Sea Publishers, for incredible support given throughout the journey of Water Lily. Hasita Adhikari, the founder of Queen of Sea Publishers, my editor, Mr. Andrew Gordon, graphic artists, Mr. Sajid Pereira, and Mr. Situm Hapuarachi, and the printer, Opal Art Shop. Thank you very much indeed for your commitment and dedication. Thank you very much, Dulanjali Aberatna, the compare for our contribution, for your contribution for the today's event. Finally, I want to extend my generous thanks to my beloved friends, relations, and my family for taking part in this event. Thank you very much indeed, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. So I think we have come to the end of the event. And again, Water Lily, written by Jasmine Jayasekara, illustrated by Saj Pereira, and published by Queen of Sea Publishers. I think you all should read this, enjoy the magical words. And Jasmine, we are hoping to see more books written and published by you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And I hope you have enjoyed the evening. Before I conclude the event, I would like to quote William Wordsworth, as he is one of the most favorite poets of Jasmine. Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Thank you so much for joining today. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye-bye.